In this next lesson, we're going to learn to stabilize the shot using the Smoothcam filter. Now, if we look at the clip Runners 2 Night, we see it's a beautiful shot, but it's a little bit bouncy. The cameraman was obviously running backwards or in a car driving backwards as the runners were going towards him. What I want to get is the feel of using a Steadicam. So we're going to go ahead, select our clip, go up under the Effects tab, Video Filters, Video, and put the Smoothcam filter on. Now, one thing you'll notice as soon as I apply the Smoothcam filter, I see something here that says Background Process, and in my upper right-hand corner it says Analyzing Clip. What Final Cut Pro is doing is it is actually looking at every pixel in that shot and creating what's called an MTDF file, which is storing where every pixel goes in every frame. So now we can right-click on the clip in the timeline and say Reveal in Finder. And what you'll notice is the MTDF file of Runners 2. Now, this is a very small file. As a matter of fact, the original clip is 10.9 megabytes, but this small file is just basically the math of where the clips are moving to, and you see it's only 56 kilobytes. You can have a lot of MTDF files, so don't worry that the MTDF files are filling up your hard drive. Now, a couple important things to note when working with the Smoothcam filter and creating these files. The file should always be located in the same folder as the original clip. If I move that file or I delete it, Final Cut is going to have to reanalyze the movie. A second thing to take note of is that Final Cut analyzes the entire original QuickTime movie. So even though I may be using only a 5-second clip in my program, if the original clip was 20 minutes long, Final Cut's going to analyze that entire 20-minute movie, and that could take a long time. If you're using a very short piece of a very long clip, the best thing to do is mark an in and out point and export just that section of the clip and re-import it back into your timeline before running the Smoothcam filter. Let's go back to Final Cut. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that when it was calculating it, it said Background Process. What that means is I can keep working in Final Cut while it's analyzing the clip. So you can go through, put the Smoothcam filter on a clip, keep editing, and when the analysis is done, you see the clip is stabilized. Let's take a look at what the stabilized clip looks like. I'm going to move my playhead to the beginning of the shot and simply hit play. This clip is a lot more rock solid than it was before. Now let's open the clip up in our viewer and look at some of the controls of the Smoothcam filter. I'll press the Return key, we'll click on the Filter tab, and these are all the controls that we can work with. Now, what Final Cut actually does when it applies the Smoothcam filter is after it analyzes where all the pixels are before, it wants to keep them in the exact same XY location so the image doesn't move around the screen. To do this, it actually rotates and moves the image left and right. So we don't see this rotation, it actually blows the image up a little bit, and it determines this based upon the amount of shake in the original shot. In this case, it blew the image up by about 5%. I want to show you what happens if we didn't blow the image up, and you can actually get a better sense of what Final Cut is doing when it's stabilizing the image. Take a look at the very edges of our screen when I hit play. It'll actually look as if the image is bouncing around. As a matter of fact, if I play through this a little more slowly, you can actually see the edges of the frame bounce around as it tries to keep the runners perfectly straight. This is why we need to blow the image up to 105%. The next area I want to discuss is our camera motion smoothness. This is translation smooth, rotation smooth, and scale smooth. What translation smooth does is it controls the X and Y values, the image moving left and right and up and down. Rotation is if the camera has rotated around like a 360-degree circle. And finally, scale is if the camera's moved in or out a little bit. In this shot, we don't have to worry about scale, but we did adjust our translation and rotation smoothness. Now, why would you want to modify what Final Cut has already done? Well, if I have a shot, say, of a guy riding a bicycle, and there's a lot of bounce to it, when I'm done running the Smoothcam on it, it may look like I'm actually using a Steadicam. I may want a little more float in my image. So in that case, I may take the translation smoothness down a little bit, and I have a little bit more camera float. Finally, we have a mix slider. All the mix slider does is show you what the before looks like and what the smoothed out image looks like. If I move this to 50% and play it, it looks like these runners are a little dizzy from running 50 miles a day. Let's take this back to 100% and look at our final image one more time. Now, the Smoothcam filter can do wonderful things, but if your original shot is really blurry, if the shake is way out of control, it's not a magic bullet that can fix everything. But for shots that have a little bit of shake, it can do magic.